If you're worried about the spread of the coronavirus, well, you're obviously not alone. It's unsettling to see doctors in what look like, hazmat suits in China and people quarantined, hanging out of hotel windows in Italy, and of course your fellow airline passengers wearing face masks. Yet more unsettling is something happening right here in the United States. And it's not medical, it's political. Democrats and their media cronies have decided to weaponize fear and also weaponize suffering to improve their chances against Trump in November.
Trump is incompetent. We're seeing this in coronavirus.
Donald Trump, in general, not just with the coronavirus, but in general, doesn't take important things seriously.
They're scared to death about it. And the Trump administration has no idea of what they're doing.
4 words describe the administration's response to the coronavirus: towering and dangerous incompetence.
Well, a few hours ago, the president and his team gave us an important update on how they're preparing for any outbreaks should they happen here.
The number one priority from our standpoint is the health and safety of the American people. The risk to the American people remains very low. And we have the greatest experts in the world, really in the world, right here. We're ready to adapt, and we're ready to do whatever we have to as the disease spreads, if it spreads.
The Trump administration is going to continue to be aggressively transparent, keeping the American people and the media apprised of the situation and what everyone can do.
All right, perhaps they could have done this a week ago, but the most important thing, the thing that matters to Americans coast to coast, is that this effort is highly organized, extremely thorough, and very well managed. But facts don't matter to the Trump haters. They learn from the never let a crisis go to waste philosophy of Rahm Emanuel that many of them are, frankly, so sick with their anti-Trump fever that they actually consider this virus a political godsend. Finally, they think they might have something that may stick to Trump. Well, let's face it, they're really frustrated right now, these Democrats. Think about it. After Mueller flopped, after the impeachment failed, after they constantly demonized Trump as a racist, sexist, and every other ist you can think of, the economy and his approval numbers continued to grow. All they know how to do, though, is stoke panic. What else do they really have at this point? I guess they have Bernie's laundry list of freebies: free health care, free pre-K, free college, free medical care, free housing. It's all a fraud. No one takes any of this seriously. Remember when Reagan told us it's morning in America? And then Trump vowed to make America great again, and Obama, he offered hope and change. Well, the 2020 Democrats, on the other hand, are either hoping for misery or actually peddling it. None of the candidates have an answer to Trump's booming economy, so they pretend, as they did in last night's debate, that Americans really aren't better off at all.
We need a strong economy and to work worldwide on that economy.
We all know unchecked capitalism has failed.
You know what? For the ordinary American, things are not so good.
Oh, really, Bernie? Well, even with the recent gyrations of the stock market, every piece of economic data shows that middle America is doing much better than they did 3 years ago. Not to mention that Americans are the happiest they've been in decades, and that optimism is fueling more prosperity. Just today, we learned that the new home sales number hit a 12-year high last month. But again, remember, good news for you is bad news for the misery party. If you aren't sufficiently freaked out about the coronavirus, you should believe that at our core, America, we are just a racist, rotten country.
There is racism in the criminal justice system.
We've got to deal with the institutional racism.
Vice President.
If I were black, my success would have been a lot harder to achieve.
I'm conscious of the fact that there's 7 white people on this stage talking about racial justice.
I'm the only person on this stage who believes in reparations for slavery.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
We have a criminal justice system today that is not only broken, it is racist.
Just call them bad news, Bernie. Man, it's a wonder, after listening to that, marinate yourself in that for a while. It's a wonder that millions have emigrated here from all across the globe, many of them people of color. Why would they do that, given how the decks are apparently stacked against all of them? A terrible, rotten, racist country. You'd have thought that the word would have gotten around by now. Don't go there. They hate you. It's all pretty weird, though, don't you think? That such a racist society would see unemployment at record lows for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans? Friends, it's frankly just, you think about this all day, it's just pathetic at this point. The Democrats are coming up empty. The great American comeback is a fact. And everyone who wants a job, wants to work, is benefiting. That's great news. And it's happening because of President Trump's America First policies. That takes us back, though, to where we started. The Democrats' latest desperate attempt to gain the political upper hand when nothing else is stuck. When all else fails, argue that, well, we should just spend more money.
This president has not invested like he should have in his budget. He tried to cut back on the CDC.
He's defunded Centers for Disease Control, CDC, so we don't have the organization we need.
We increased the budget of the CDC. We increased the NIH budget. We should have our president today, and he's wiped all that out. We did it.
Oh, Joe, actually, the funding for the CDC and NIH during the Trump administration is higher than it was during the Obama-Biden administration. Congress has been kept fully apprised of the crisis with the first briefing held last month when the president called all of this a public health emergency. And he imposed travel restrictions on foreigners coming in from China.
We should all be working together. She's trying to create a panic. Nancy Pelosi shouldn't, and she knows it's not true. She knows all they're trying to do is get a political advantage. This isn't about political advantage. We're all trying to do the right thing. They shouldn't be saying, this is terrible, President Trump isn't asking for enough money. How stupid a thing to say.
Well, this is a time for calm, measured pragmatism, not panic and not political opportunism by a party that's been buffeted by its own missteps and failed strategies. If they appear to be rooting for American suffering and pain during an election year, I promise you that the voters will put them in a political quarantine come November. And that's the angle.